Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pritesh. First of all, thank you very much, Santosh, for giving the opportunity to bring and to explain on how this global supply chain can disrupt and create the issues when it comes to the MSME, and how do we help to build kind of an inclusive and the green value chain for the MSME and whichever part of the MSME, whichever part of the continent they are in. So let me start my presentation with a statement that the biggest threat to your next export contract is not your competition. It's a compliance checkbox that you have never heard of. I'm sure this is something which is very big what I'm talking about, but I will definitely take you through in next 10 to 15 minutes what exactly I'm talking about and how this can be a biggest threat to your next export contract. Before we go there, let me give short introduction about myself. My name is Pritesh. Born in India, spent 13 years in Singapore, now living in Dubai, more than 25, 26 years of experience, had multi-million dollar worth of a contract over a period of last 20 years. One of the biggest was in Indonesia, worth 32 million in the middle of COVID. Indian market for the Hitachi ATM scaled from 0 to 85% of the market share. And until now, I work in three continents and looking forward to work with any one of you. Are you a MSME or are you a startup or are you already a scale-up company? Happy to help and work with you guys. Let me get into the topic and share few data points which can at least help you to understand where do we stand. So why the green supply chain is no more an optional thing, because almost 70% plus of this Fortune 500 companies have done the mandatory supplier ESG disclosure. It's not only the S1, Scope 1, and the Scope 2 what we are referring to, but I'm looking at the Scope 3 compliance and the ESG data disclosure from my supplier. If you talk about the carbon border alignment mechanism, which is as good as a tool in the start of the road, so you have already fully operational the EU CBAM guidelines, and it's affecting all the exports which are entering into the EU. If you are supplying anything, it can be a steel or it can be aluminum or a metal or anything on the solar, you will have to share, release the certificate, you'll have to pay the carbon tax, and then you'll be able to export all your material to the Europe. And more than if you talk about the scope 3, so around 70% of the corporate carbon footprint is directly coming or a proportional to the all the MSMEs or the supplier whom I am buying from. So I will have to say that yes, I am also a supplier, but at the same time, I'm equally responsible for any carbon emission happening in any of the OEMs. So we are talking about that right now, the buyer is not only looking at the RFP or the pricing or the how good is your supply chain and the delivery terms, but their main objective is to audit based on the AI, from where are you buying, who are your suppliers, how are you getting the product, how are you manufacturing the product, using the AI automation to get into your digital data, your footprint, and then they will even shortlist you, and then you'll get the opportunity to go and go your pricing. So this is no more optional. And I divide, or I can say I can split all of you, the MSME, into three category. The one which I can say more than 40% of MSME, including me or any of the companies, are still unaware. They feel like, oh, this is just they are working on the price, working on the reducing the gross margin. They are just focusing based on the relationship. There is no relation. There is nothing to do on the ESG data, not on the S1, S2 compliance. They are not even tracking how much of the carbon or the from where they are buying. So they are the first one to lose the contract in 2026. If you talk about the second type of MSMEs, they are more like I can say paralyzed, or they are the one who are listening to this session, and they know there is a problem. They have read all the reports. They understand that, oh, I will have to do something on this, and there is a reason you are listening to this, or maybe you are working on this, but you have not taken a single action yet. And there are around 45% of them. The last 15%, they have done something or other. They have done some basic compliance as a part of a check mark or as a part of a certification, but you have never gone ahead and used that as a weapon or commercial weapon to increase the price or charge the premium from your OEM. So the point is, if you are in the room, you are in whichever of the stage, it's still a problem. The question is, now what do we do next? So I'll give you one example, what I have done. It's a classic example, and then I will correlate this example directly with all three types of MSME. So it was middle of COVID, somewhere back in 2021, where we at Diebold Mixtop was doing on an average 2 to 3 million USD worth of revenue year on year. And that was a time where the Indonesia was flooded with the Japanese and the Korean competition. Is the second largest banking market in Southeast Asia. You cannot travel. You cannot, your factories are shut down. The chip supply was under control. The prices were going up. And that was a time there was opportunity worth more than 30 million, where if you lose that, then you will lose the revenue of not only the 30 million for the next 7 years of the service and the support revenue from the top two tier bank. And there I have entered, followed on all the checklists or the criteria where or which can help you to go from 3 to 32 million is not only based on the relationship or not only based on the product, but is based on all the compliance and the checklist what I have done. So let me just start correlate what exactly we have done or how we have worked on this thing. So number one, and the most important part was more on the mapping the supply chain reality. Everyone was knowing that there's a shortage of chip. I cannot supply all the product. If I supply, I cannot deliver because there was a lockdown like in 2021. If I can supply, I cannot make it live. So we'll have to have the entire visibility from zero all the way until 100. I cannot service, I cannot supply. There is a compliance gap, all of that. Along with the ecosystem, that is not only me who is doing best, but how I can have the right partner in the entire ecosystem which can help you to from the logistic to the delivery to the supply chain to the parts and the repair and make sure that everything is working of COVID. Once you have the ecosystem, you map the supply chain, then comes that, okay, now what do you need to ask? You also need to agree on different terms and the conditions with the customer so that bank, whatever bank have the status in terms of the SLS and the uptime and the reporting are also in place and then activate it commercially. So at the end of the day, I will have the positive gross margin. I have the relationship, I can cover the market, and at the same time, I can be the number one player in the Indonesian market. So keeping this and starting from the scratch and reaching to a successful deal closure, it will not take decades. It will take less than a year, or I can say less than 6 months to build, to ready, and to run on that side. So how can we apply the same model? And I call, and this is the one which I have prepared, I call it as a green chain activation model. If I am a SME or MSME, the first and the foremost thing is to understand where do I stand? What are the kind of carbon footprint? What are the kind of compliance do I have? How do I have the risk care from where I am buying? How do I travel? I should have the entire visibility before even my buyer will come and ask for it. The moment I understand or I allow a map, where do I stand? Step two, which comes more on the alignment side of it, where I can start building the ecosystem. It's not only me, but from where I am buying. Who are the people who are supplying the product by air, by ship? Are they even the green? Do I have the partnership with the person or the person who is supplying the component or the chip are also following the green infrastructure? Getting all the document in a digital way. So at the end of the day, I will have the entire report ready. And the third and the last part, I map, I align, and now is the point that how can I use all this data to my commercial advantage. So let's deep dive into all these three. So when I talk about I should know about myself, I should know what is your exposure before even your customer asks, all the carbon hotspot. which area it is in the tier one, tier two, it's in the travel, it's in the material which is coming from where the material is getting produced. Am I using the green energy to produce? The suppliers who are supplying the equipments, what kind of certification do they carry? Is ISO 14001, maybe on the green side, or maybe on the carbon side on the 8000 or the FSC? What is in place? What is missing? I should have all the document in place. Documentation gap, multi-jurisdiction exposure. If I'm supplying the same product to Europe, am I supplying the same product to Singapore, or am I supplying the same product to UAE, and the digital readiness on all my products API part of it. Then comes that, okay, do I need to spend a few hundred or the $1 million worth of money before even to understand where do I send? Answer is no. It's a very low cost, you can say as good as a free. So I list down all the tools which you can use to get your carbon calculation free, or maybe you can spend as low as maybe $500 and you can do your own self audit. Understand where do you sell. It'll take between 0 to 30 to 60 days. And once you know where do you stand, then comes the second part of it, that from here, if I want to go and become a green supplier, or MSME who can supply the green product, do I have the green logistic partner? It can be a freight, or it can be a last mile, or a logistic, or a supply chain. Do I have a certified tier 2 supplier from where I'm buying the product? Do I have all this documentation digitally, thoroughly vetted through and in the system, so that in the event, if anybody asks or the buyer demand for these documents, I'm ready to share it with them? Are those all aligned financially in terms of the finance what I'm taking from the bank is a sustainable finance, or is a green financing what I'm taking from DBS Bank or ADCB Bank from UAE? Is the strategy is inclusive? Do I have enough number of employee who are women? Do I have SMEs? Do I have a supplier buyer facing metrics where I'm buying the product? And all the standards. It can be all the way from GRI to ISSP to which of the license or the standards which I need to follow, which can help me to supply the product in that XYZ country. And third and the last important part, that once I am done with the certification, supplier, my carbon emissions report ready, how can I use this? Can I charge the premium to my suppliers and get the better pricing from the customer? Or how can I be a more effective in terms of qualifying as the first or the most important supplier in most of the RFPs? So then you will not only lead with a certainty or a good relationship or maybe a good product, but you always or not even a good price. You just focus as the green supplier carrying your S1 and S2, which can be S3, a scope to supply the emissions for your the OEM. You'll not have to, maybe it is not mentioned in the RFP that you need to explore, you need to share where do you stand when it comes to the ESG metrics. You will have to explicitly share what are your ESG metrics. Reference with another supplier, reference with another markets, reference with another country, and use this certification as a PR. If we follow your map, your align and activate, and that is a place where we'll have a better chance, winning chance, better chance to qualify as part of one of the supplier, and better chance to get the better pricing. Now, if I divide the three areas, if you talk about European Union, you'll have to be active now. Things are in place. You talk about CSRD, you talk about CBAM, you talk about Green Deal, a zero emission supply, you talk about the carbon credit, you talk about carbon tax, and you also talk about, if you talk about the product passport, what the European Union is asking when you are supplying your product or entering into the European market. So that means you'll have to be ready, active now. If you're talking about GCC or Middle East, North Africa, now they are accelerating. There is a place where you will come up with a 2050 net zero plan. Saudi vision to go by 2030 with the ESG metrics, what they have set up. Dubai Green Zone, the Green Economy Initiative, they have just released few $100 million of initiative that how do we make this green. Expo City. and on and on. So now is the time where GCC is the, if you have a minimum standard, is a time to entry. If you talk about South or the Southeast Asia, where this it is already emerging. Singapore already come up with the GST carbon tax. We talk about India, BIS, and the green building certification. You'll have to have energy labeling mandatory for all the exports. We talk about Indonesia, we'll have to have the ESG in the banking sector requirement. I go for a banking loan, I'll have to show that how clean I am. Vietnam, yes. Philippines, answer is yes. So question is which market I am entering, which market is already at what stage, and am I ready or am I ready to support all those requirements for each of the market, and will I be able to sell more? So in place of focusing more on reducing the cost of the product and getting the best product out of your factory as an MSME, the point is that whatever product I have, does this match with each of this market and their requirement when it comes to the green part of it? How do we do it? It's a, I'll not say it's simple, I'll not say it's very cheap, I'll not say it's straightforward, but you'll have to start somewhere. So if you need any support, any mentorship, if you need anything whereby I'll be able to come, we'll be able to come and help you wherever you sit, in whichever part of the world, we'll be more than happy to help you. But if you want to do it, things on your own, try and follow the roadmap, what I'm sharing it with you guys. So initial times, you'll have to make your best lab. I given the all the free tools which can help you to share where do you stand and from where you have to start. Once you know, you understand your baseline, then time comes is on aligning your entire ecosystem. We talk about supplier, we talk about alternatives, we talk about logistics, we talk about building the documentation. We'll have to have the certification. It can be the 14,000 or any of the certification pertaining to your business. Then comes that once you have the document in place, once you have your S1 scope 1 and scope ready, which you can supply to your vendor, how do we use them as commercially? And then you'll have all the things which can help you qualify better in your RFP, charge premium pricing, pitch as one of the premium product or a green product to your client, and you'll be able to qualify all the requirement in any of the market which you are getting into. So in summary, you should not commit this fine mistake, which will cost you a few hundred thousands of million of dollars for your contract. Please don't confuse certification with the compliance. Certifications are not for the compliance. It's a snapshot. Who are you? Is not your brand. Is how green is your brand. Don't wait for buyer to ask. Then it will be too late. They have already shortlisted, identified 10 other vendors who will be supplying the product to them. Don't treat green supply as a cost center. That is again a part of your profit center. If you have better green supply chain, you'll have a better pricing. You can charge it to your customer. And don't stop at the tier one. You'll have to go to tier two or tier three, and you'll have to fix it. And that is your own life. And don't do it alone. You'll have to have a community, you'll have to have people who can help you. It can be me who can help you on the green side of it. You'll have to go and get other people who can get you all the things together. There are forums, there are places in Singapore, in UAE, in India, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, where they'll be able to help you to make it up and running. So don't feel you are alone. Don't feel you are the one who will be spending millions of dollars to get this thing done, or a few hundred thousands of dollars. 20, 30, 40, 50 of you come together. We can do it together. We can make all of you green. You'll be able to go and take the leverage of the entire supply chain and the green economy when it comes to the exports. So I can summarize that number one, green supply chain is not the future, is the now. Right now, we'll have to do it. Don't wait till 2030, don't wait till 2050. Now is the time we'll get the first mover advantage. You can get the benefit when it comes to the compliance part of it. And once you have the compliance, you get the first mover advantage. And then you fit into the entire ecosystem or the network of all the OEMs where it will be in the top 2 to 3 supplier lists. So I will end my topic with the summary that if you need any help anywhere in Singapore, in UAE, in Africa, or in Southeast Asia, you can scan the QR. Let's connect over LinkedIn. You can drop me a message, whichever tool you need. I'll be able to get you the tools. Some are free, some are few $100. I can help you to bring in my model, which is a green chain activation model. So mapping, aligning, and activating your entire supply chain. So all the way from compliance burden to your contract weapon, and we can make it happen. So I wish you good luck, each one of you. Thank you very much, and talk to you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Pritesh.